Welcome, me is Jacob Warren. I'm Dave Hooker. The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. And love talking to Jacob each and every week. Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to vassy.com. Jacob, how are you, sir?
Doing great, man. Again, I can't complain. I'm living the life. Summer's coming right around the corner, so I'm excited.
Yeah, we were talking about a little vacay before we got started. So
Mm,
you've got me
mm.
thinking of the beach as well. But before we get to that, we're about a year away from you getting drafted, and that's pretty exciting. But now you can enjoy it for your teammates
Yeah,
and getting drafted. And Tennessee is definitely a presence in the NFL draft. How excited are you to see where players end up?
man. I think that it's time, right? There's been all this work that all these guys have done, and you've watched a lot of guys climb, right? You've watched Hendon climb. You've watched even Jalen and Byron and all them, and Darnell as they've performed and as they've shown through this whole process, just kind of the players they are, but also just kind of the people they are. You've watched them climb up the boards, and just exciting to see where they go. Obviously, the potential to be a first day guy is huge, regardless of whether they're first round, second round, whatever. But super excited just to kind of see where they end up, and hopefully they're all pushing first round, and we'll see what happens.
You knew this time a year ago that you were going to eventually get drafted, and you know now that you're going to get drafted. But do you follow any of the coverage? Because some of the draft coverage is comical. It's such smokescreen stuff. Do
Right.
you follow it?
I don't follow it much. I mean, I can't help but see things on Twitter and stuff of like mock drafts that different guys have people going at different times or whatever. Um, I think that's obviously probably something that, once it comes around next year, I'll be paying more attention to. And if I had made the decision to leave this year, would obviously be paying more attention to. At the end of the day, it's right. It's do mock drafts mean anything? Probably not. But it's cool. It's definitely cool to look and just see kind of what everybody's saying about the guys. And a lot of people have had a lot of positive, good things to say about our guys. So um, can't be mad at that, I guess.
Yep, and you can check out Caleb Calhoun's mock draft on offthehooksports.com. We'll see if he gets one of them right.
There you go.
It is a very unusual thing to come out of school when you think about it. I mean, I had a choice of where I wanted to work.
Mhm.
Basically, have no choice. It's one of 32 cities. That's kind of a bizarre place for a young man to be.
Yeah, and I feel like at the end of the day, like this is a question that you always get is okay, where do you want to play? Where do you want to get drafted? And like, man, whoever's going to pay the bills and wherever I'm going to have the best opportunity to be my best, right? There's a lot of different offensive schemes, and if you're a defensive guy, there's a lot of different defensive schemes and different ways that you can fit into a system, and it's all about finding the right fit and kind of wherever that is. Whether you're on the West Coast, East Coast, you're down south somewhere, like they're paying the bills, you're going to be there, right? Like that's your job now. So it's a matter of just adapting and being able to go with the flow, I guess.
Yeah, suddenly a city like Seattle seems less rainy
Yeah,
when
right.
they're paying you a couple of $1,000,000.
I don't care about the rain if I'm getting paid, right? I know that it gets cold up north, right? But again, if they're paying the heat bill, I don't really care.
Yeah, I can buy coats for sure. I've never asked you this. Was there a tight end at all when you fit into that position and you knew that was your position? Is
Mhm.
there one that you looked at and maybe patterned your game after in the NFL at all?
Man, like it was weird kind of growing up and even still a little bit now, I'm getting more into it now, but like just didn't watch a lot of ball, right? Obviously the more that I've played and the more that I've developed just a love for the game, have gotten more into it. Um, but I mean, dude, I don't know. I remember being a big fan of Megatron, Calvin Johnson, right back in the day, and he not a tight end, but could probably be a tight end if
Yeah,
you're
he could have put on like 10 pounds and been a tight
right. Um, but I mean, just more recently, as I mentioned, getting into watching the game and being a student of the game, I really like CJ Uzoma, man. He plays for the Jets now, but when he was playing at Cincinnati, obviously big fan of George Kittle, just his aggressiveness and um, ability to just move people right in the box and be that guy that just kind of goes in there and throws his hat in there. And then obviously everybody loves watching Travis Kelsey, just what he does in space and the plays that he makes with the ball in his hands are pretty crazy. And he puts his team in a winning position every single week. And um, kind of being able to mold your game after somebody like that who literally changes the game, right? He adds a whole nother element to the game, and can do so many different things, multifaceted. So a guy like that is definitely someone that I think all of us younger tight ends are looking up to.
Please hit that like and subscribe button. We certainly appreciate that. If you haven't already, the Vol Report with Jake Warren brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Go to vassy.com. As far as watching this draft process, maybe a little bit closer than you did last year, and having more teammates that are involved in the process, what do you feel like you've learned by staying around another year, maybe in this first 4 months or so of the 2023 calendar year?
I think just kind of learned what that process kind of is all about, at least the beginning stages of it, right? Because I start going through the beginning stages of it early in January and December, where you're thinking about agents and you're looking at are what type of agent is this? Is this one that would be good or bad or whatever? How do I decipher what kind of agent I want? And then moving on to the training process, right? Went through a whole season of training, right? Not necessarily as intense as it would have been if I was really doing the draft, but um man, trying to push myself in the off season, that January to March zone where, I'm working out extra and I'm doing all these things and I'm getting around guys that are training for the draft and I can kind of see what they're going through firsthand and kind of what the commitment level is in their preparation process. But other than that, man, just kind of I don't know. I think I've recognized that a lot of the guys are just kind of enjoying just going to work and truly being able to focus on just ball and just being the best version of themselves. Um, has been really cool, and I think that's exciting to look forward to. Is there's no more school for them. There's no more class and worrying about you know showing up on time for tutoring appointments and stuff like that. They're able to just go and train and just get better, man, and just get ready for their career in the NFL. So that's kind of just a couple things I noticed.
By the way, Jacob won an award. We want to certainly get to that. I'll remind you that Vassy Lawn and Garden is right there in Cleveland. It's a close drive to Nashville, Knoxville, or Chattanooga if you're replenishing your industrial fleet of mowers or perhaps your commercial fleet. They've also got residential as well. I'd highly recommend you check it out because with their buying power, you will save a ton of money. Go to vassy.com. That's Vassy Lawn and Garden. Man alive, it's worth the drive. Jacob wins so many awards that I have trouble keeping up with it.
All right, all right.
I mean, I've got a pegboard with a separate chart, but no, you have one on. But congratulations, the National Football Foundation, the Hampshire Honor Society. For those that don't know what that is, you and Paxton Brooks were named members to that.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
Man, stuff like that is amazing just because, that's something that I know people that care about Jacob as a person and people that care about my future and just kind of who I am makes them really proud, right? I get a lot of texts, I get a lot of calls from my extended family and my family members and just people that really care about me and they're always like, man, this means way more than what you do on the field to us, at least, right? To the people that care about you, this means the world. And man, it's cool to hear. And obviously, it's something I'm proud of too, right? Like I love being recognized for things other than ball. And so yeah, it's great, man. And obviously, Paxton very very well deserving of that as well. Because we're kind of been we've been really close ever since we got here, right? We were freshman year roommates and roommates all the way until pretty much he left. And so kind of just watching him work, and he really taught me a lot about working hard, man, and truly committing to what you're doing. And obviously, I hope that really pays off for him, and it should. Coming up here in the next few days, hopefully he gets picked up and finds a home to play. And yeah, man, like I said, it makes me happy because I know it makes my people proud, and that's what we're doing it for. So,
Any other awards you're up for that you've got your fingers crossed?
well, I mean, not really. I guess there's this thing at the university called volunteer distinction, and I got in my undergraduate before I graduated the first time, and
Does anybody else get to win awards on this team?
I got recognized for it again, just for my master's degree stuff. And it was funny because I got the email about it and I sent it to my mom and I said, back to back. That's two times, baby. And she thought it was funny. But you get a little pen. And so now I have two pens, which would be really cool. But just, yeah, man, just different things like that not a lot of people know about, but I take a lot of pride in for sure.
Well, kudos to you. And you have to have a 3.2 GPA
Mhm.
to win the latest award, I
Yeah.
believe it's the NFF Hampshire Honor Society. Um, so you pass them by 3.2, you zooming on by that, or where are we there?
I mean, I'm not trying to like whatever. So, yeah, I'm well beyond that, I think.
I figured you were.
Yeah,
I'd say 3.2 was a while ago, and you've zoomed by that.
yeah,
Let's get to football for a second. One of the great things about the transition, I think, from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton is
mhm,
the fact that you guys know Joe Milton.
yeah,
How advantageous is that as opposed to a guy that you don't know at all?
yeah. I think that what's crazy and like I don't think people forget, but it's not necessarily something that's really talked about a lot. Is Joe was the guy, right? Like he was the guy that was going into that season, our very first season, hyping him starting, right? And so we have prepared a fall camp with him, thinking, with him being the guy, and obviously, whatever happens, injured, and then Hendon takes over, and Hendon obviously takes the reins and does an amazing job. But like Joe has been so present throughout this whole thing, and truly has been a leader for the last, what, like 2.5, 3 years, however long we've all been here together with hype. Um, and man, so it's like not even skipping a beat, right? It's so normal and it's so regular for us to be around Joe and for Joe to be leading and be in front of all the guys, and so it should be an extremely smooth transition for us in the fall for sure.
Well, I asked that question too because we're in this transfer portal period
Yeah,
in which some programs look at their quarterback situation. It's not like yours, and they're
yeah,
like, "Uh-oh, we got to do something."
right.
So, how challenging would it be if Joe Milton, your projected starter for the fall, is just showing up now, and you just met Joe Milton as of end of April?
I guess it would depend on how Joe Milton is. You know what I mean? I think that Joe Milton would probably handle it pretty well because Joe could come in and command a room. Obviously, it'd be a little different. Just a trust level wise. You know what I mean? It'd be hard to adapt that quickly. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, man, football has shown me that regardless of who someone is and what happens and when they get there, the second that you step on the field with someone and you have that shared experience and you go through adversity with each other, like the bond that you build is actually pretty insane. Just I don't know. It's hard. It's really weird to think about, and it's kind of hard to understand if you've never felt it. But going through something like fall camp and like these off season workouts with someone, and especially someone that you're going to call a leader, is super impactful for how much you trust them and how much you believe that they're going to be able to get their job done. And that's what the game is all about, is trusting the guys around you. So um, again, I think it's definitely amazing and advantageous that Joe has been around and he's been with us. um, but yeah, you get a transfer quarterback, you're gonna have to make it work regardless. Somebody's gonna have to be back there snapping the ball. And so luckily we don't really have to deal with that right now.
Well, you spoke to the leadership, but just how challenging would it be just from strictly a quarterback pass
Mm.
catcher
Yeah.
chemistry standpoint?
Yeah, it's just it would just be a lot of work, right? You'd have to put in extra hours, and that's even still something that we're gonna have to do with Joe. You're gonna have to put in extra hours. You're gonna have to get comfortable, and there's gonna be maybe mistakes that are made along the way, and that's super normal, right? That's just part of the game. But I think yeah, if you get the right guy in the portal or whatever, then he's willing to work, and the wide receivers are willing to work with that, and the running backs on their meshes, and the offensive line getting used to hearing the guy making calls, and it's just ball at the end of the day. So, if you get the right guy in the portal, which again, obviously great that we don't have to, but if that were the instance, and we had to if we got a guy and he was the right guy, then I think it would work out just fine.
So for those that don't know, a lot of the times you'll run 7-on-7 in the
Mhm,
summers,
mhm.
which isn't full contact theoretically. That's up to you guys.
Right.
Um, so when you're running sevens as
Yeah,
opposed to spring camp,
yeah.
can you, as a skill position player,
Mhm.
can you accomplish as much as a tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback as you do during spring? Is that an equal opportunity for growth?
So I think that um, there's different benefits to it, right? In the spring, you have pads on, you can use your body, get physical, and the defenders can use their body to be physical as well. They can grab and they can hold and they can be physical at the top of your route. I think you get something like 7-on-7 where nobody has pads, no one has a helmet, um, but we're still playing full speed. We're playing fast. We're making fast decisions. It forces you almost to be um, less physical, right? Like you can't run into people and you can't push off and they can't really grab you because there's nothing really for them to grab. So like that just forces you to be better with your footwork, and I have to be better at the top of my routes. And I can't get as close to him when I'm trying to, what I mean, trying to do this or do that because I know at the top of my route he's going to try to grab me. So now I'm going to try to win with speed, or I'm going to try to work a different move. And those are all things that you might not necessarily have to do if you're in full pads. So being able to get those reps and just do that against each other and just make each other better in the summer is definitely super valuable going into the fall.
So how much trash talking goes on because there's no coaches around, and those
Right.
summer workouts, maybe I've snuck into one or two, but they always seem
Yeah.
they they seem a little more casual and at times incredibly intense.
Yeah. So that just kind of depends, right? Like you said, there's no coaches, right? It's a dead period for them. They're not allowed to be out there with us. But at the same time, it's like, man, especially as the older guys, right? We're talking about leadership. Like we know what it's supposed to look like for the most part. We know, kind of how things are supposed to happen, and so we're out there kind of teaching ourselves and coaching ourselves. And yeah, man, some days you get out there and it's just you and your buddies and you're playing against one of your boys across the way, and hey, good rep or whatever. But then you get some days where, man, we're all young men and we're all out there competing, and it gets a little intense, and you need days like that, I think. But at the same time, as long as we're all out there and just trying to make each other better and trying to get better ourselves, I think that it's just a game, man.
How often do you see glimpses of special playmaking ability? Like last summer, did you see a Jalen High like, whoa, he could be really good?
Well, that's the thing is what you're working with at this point in the year, right? And until you get these new guys, right? You get these new guys in coming in May, and there may be a couple of them that kind of jump off the page and really surprise you with their speed or with their hands. They make a big catch, or just different things like that. But right now we know what we're going into in the summer with, right? We're going in with our guys, and we know that there's some people that are just going to be really fast and they're going to make crazy plays, and it's kind of just like, oh wow, it almost kind of maybe gets you more excited for the fall, right? It's something to look at as I don't know. I think you kind of understand what I'm saying. It's more anticipation and building up the excitement to get to fall camp where we can put those pads back on and get ready to really go play games. And so that's kind of what I look forward to.
He is Jacob Warden. The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden, Man Alive. It's worth the drive. Please hit that like and subscribe button. We open up to more and more people, and we'll talk to Jacob each and every week. I love doing that. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports.